There's a larger discussion that probably I'm sure you've heard of, and maybe you've seen some coaches talking about it. I know Lanning talked about it recently in one of the press conferences about just like overall the schedule for college football is like logistically makes no sense, right? So like you have teams that get to the playoffs, they're in the playoffs, there's these weird weeks in between, and I get it, there's holidays and stuff, but there's like all this time off, so there's the whole bye situation. And then the transfer portal opens in the middle of people playing for basically like the biggest games of the year in the playoffs, both the national championship and the semifinal and even a couple of these other games. So number one, the timing is super awkward, right? So like you got coaches leaving who have already committed to other schools, but they might still be coaching. Some of them are completely leaving, like LSU, for example, where now their team could be playing for a national championship, was also awkward.
You're talking about Ole Miss, yeah.
Yeah, with excuse me, yeah. Ole Miss and LSU, that kind of weird situation with their coaching. You have some coaches that are still coaching in the playoff, but they're already head coaches for next year. So that puts them in such a weird position, right? Like transfer portal's open. I'm coaching on my team that I'm leaving, and who should I take with me? Right? Like that's such an awkward position to be in as a coach. Can you imagine being in that role where you're like, well, I could win a national championship, I'm leaving to a new team, and a transfer portal just opened. What am I focused on right
Yeah,
now?
it's the whole thing is ass backwards. It doesn't make any sense to me that the timelines align that way, where coaches have to announce if they're going to take new jobs, players have to announce if they're going to enter the portal. None of this should be happening until at least the day after the national championship. What a distraction to the players, what a disruption to the fandom. How do you coach appropriately in those situations? And how do players actually do and coaches actually do what they really want to do that they feel is best for them without becoming the villain, right? Like Lane Kiffin became the villain. The whole Ole Miss thing right now, they're rallying to say F you to him.
Yep.
When in
Which, yeah.
reality, he took a job that may be better for his career and the timing. I'm sure he didn't want to take that job in like the end of November or early December or whatever before he got to do the playoffs with his team. He probably did not want the timing to be that way.
Yep. But then, yeah, there's all the weird negotiations that have to happen, and they might be trying to force him. So yeah, creates just a mess. Let's put it that way. So there's been some suggestions about um, can you move everything to like week 0 where everybody has a game? Like, let's not just BS and have these like stupid like 3 games that is week 0. Move everything back. Don't cut out all this stupid like month off bye for the playoff. Like if you just were to tighten the schedule, it
Yeah,
could
like
be
the
pretty
NFL.
reasonable. Yeah, it could be like a thing. Like let's not just BS and have these like stupid like 3 games that is week 0. Move everything back. Don't cut out all the stupid like month off bye for the playoff. Like if you just were to tighten the schedule, it
Yeah,
could
like the
be pretty
NFL.
reasonable. Yeah, it could be like a thing, and I think they'll maybe get there, hopefully. But the okay, so that leads me to the first one with the Ducks. So they have, for those of you that are not familiar, they had about 6 running backs, I think, going into this season. Now, they had one guy that transferred from Tulane, super, like I think he was the highest ranked running back in the transfer portal last year. Transferred in, a lot of hype. He literally like played like 3 snaps the whole year. I don't know what the hell happened. I have no idea if he's like bad behavior, like no one, there's been no information. So then like in the middle of the year, he red shirts, and he's like a junior, I think, if I'm not
Uh huh.
mistaken. He's an older player. So this dude red shirts, okay? So everyone's like, "Oh, he's going to transfer. He's not playing." They have then they have a senior running back who's very good, Noah Whittington. Some of you may have seen his highlight versus Minnesota, and I think we were watching it on the Bourbon Trail, if you remember, Scott, where he like ran through like 50 guys
Oh,
at
yep.
one
Yep.
point. So that dude's a senior, solid player. But then they've had 2 freshmen that are phenomenal, and it's basically been a 3-headed horse there, where they have these 3 dudes in rotation. So One of the freshmen broke his clavicle apparently, like just this week going into this game. So he's out. He's their leading touchdown scorer for running backs.
Yikes.
And then they had, I think, two or three people transfer this week. So they literally went from having like six to like three serviceable running backs going into this game all of a sudden because of like all of this random stuff.
So how does that work then? The people who declared for the transfer portal, are they still playing?
I don't actually know if they can. Like I don't know the rules behind that, or if the coaches see that as like, why would we let you play? You're like basically a
Right.
traitor now.
It
I don't
creates a
know
lot
how
of
that
controversy, right? Because on one hand, it could be like, oh, well, let's finish your time at Oregon strong, or we need you to win the national championship. Please play.
yeah.
But also, it's like, well, what if they get hurt for, let's say they tear an Achilles during this game?
Yeah, then they're
Now the
screwed.
team that they're transferring to is not going to actually have them next year.
Yep.
It's
So
a mess, dude. That's a huge mess.
very weird scenario that has to do with the playoff and the transfer portal. But then there's this other super interesting one I want to talk about real quick. So did you see what happened to the Washington quarterback at all? Okay, so the dude's name is, I think, Damon Williams. So pretty reasonable player. I only know this since I did Washington's Oregon's rival, so they played this year. Pretty
Hmm.
reasonable player. Like I think he has a lot of talent. Very skilled dude. Like I give him credit. So literally like 4 days ago, he agreed via like NIL to return to Washington, and it was like a $4 million deal or something. Okay.
Okay.
Then literally 4 days later, he announced on social media that he is transferring. And there's speculation that LSU is trying to steal him, basically. Like they've offered
Mm.
him more money to come there. And so now there's like allegations of tampering by LSU, and the school and the football program is potentially going to take legal action if he tries to leave because of like the
How does
timing and all this weird stuff popping up.